Hey guys, how is everybody today? Welcome to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Fuksa. What a fantastic day. If you're living on the East Coast, the weather is just incredible and certainly gives me a lot of spring fever. As you might have seen yesterday, I had my first little experiment with an Instagram Live. I'm going to practice that a little bit more, but was out walking my dogs, clearing my head, and trying to put together some information for you guys. But, having been in a portion of the real estate industry for a very long time, I have a lot of experience with questions and things that are common that people just don't really understand. And I like to talk about that stuff. But, it always reminds me when I go to do some financing myself, how complicated this whole process can be. If I want to buy a house, do the mortgage, do the closing, it really depends on the people that you work with, how successful and how lack of frustration there can be, or amount of frustration there can be, depending on who you're working with. So I wanted to talk to you about this kind of stuff for a minute, because the whole real estate process, if you have a good realtor, their job is to help you find that home that works perfectly for you, your dream home. Your home isn't going to be the same as everybody else's dream home. There's going to be different things that you want that other people don't. But what I want to talk about today is the mortgage process, because that is the most time-consuming, the most cumbersome part of this process, or can be, depending on who your professionals are. And I want to encourage you, as we've talked about in the past, to work with someone that is a professional in the mortgage industry and that they know what they're talking about and they know how to explain it to you, because they may be really good at walking through the process, getting all your pieces together, getting all the information that you need to help you get it together. But if they're not good at explaining it to you, then none of that is helpful, because you have no idea what you're talking about. So recently I was interested in doing some financing myself. And so I understand, having been in the industry for a long time, what a lot of these terms are. But my husband, on the other hand, who hasn't been in some part of the industry, doesn't really understand. Luckily for him, I can help out and try to navigate through it. But I have to be honest and tell you that even some of the things that I've been asked for, because of the terms that the people involved in the process are using, I haven't heard some of these terms before, because I didn't work specifically in the mortgage industry. I worked in the closing side of it. So there's terms that different professionals through the process use that aren't necessarily what other professionals in the process use. So that can make it confusing as well. So what I'm going to encourage you to do, a couple of things. Number one, make sure whoever you hire, the three very important pieces of this process: your realtor, your mortgage company, mortgage lender, the person you're going to deal with, that loan officer, and then the company that's going to do the closing, that title officer, that title company. Three very important pieces of the process. And you should choose all three of those, because your level of understanding is very different than mine or my husband's or your friend. They're all very different. So you need to talk to those professionals and make sure you understand what's happening. It reminds me, this whole mortgage process, you may or may not have seen this commercial with Ricky Fowler, who plays golf, and a guy is interviewing him, and they're doing a commercial for Rocket Mortgage, and they say, appraisal this, credit report that, and they go through a lot of the terms that mortgage companies use, and they say, oh gosh, it's so confusing, I don't even understand what the heck's going on, and you get really stressed out. And then he says, well, Rocket Mortgage makes it simple. One thing I want to promise you here, after my years of experience in the business, is that company may make it simple as far as the process, but they are not the person you're going to see in the grocery store that's going to be accountable to you when you don't understand something, answering the phone, making sure they're always staying in touch with you, making sure that all the information you get is what you can understand and put in a way that makes sense for you and that it works for you. When you deal with one of these large mortgage companies such as that, you don't have a person on the ground that you'll run into in the store who has a responsibility to be accountable to you. And more often than not, you're talking to a machine and you'll get a call back potentially later at some point. So I like the commercial in that what I want you to understand is there is a lot of terms, and it is really confusing and it is really overwhelming, because having understood it through the process that I do, but then going through the mortgage side again, it reminds me just how complicated all these terms can be. And so a lot of that information we're actually putting up on our website so you can understand that as a consumer, but also so that I want you to know that you need to work with a professional that understands you, that you trust, that knows you. You may not want to walk into their office, but that you can physically see, because that person is going to be accountable to you, explaining these things to you that can be very, very confusing, and trying to get all those pieces together so you can get into that dream home that you want. So just some food for thought today. A lot of things swirl around in my head a lot, and I like to try to share them with you guys, and hopefully I gave you something that maybe is helpful for you to understand. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Go on and register for our email at ConnieFuksa.com, and then when new content comes out, we're putting out a lot of new things in the next couple weeks that explains a lot of this stuff and a lot of other things, and I promise not to spam you, but if you do that, then we can make sure that you're getting on the list so you can see the things that we're putting out to try to help you understand and navigate this process. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for tuning in to Coffee with Connie. Please hit that share button below, because people you know might want to hear the same information. Maybe as the spring market breaks, people are starting to look at real estate and might need to know the answer to some of these questions. I'll talk to you real soon. I'm Connie Fuksa. I hope you have a great day.